This morning, the television caught my eye. A few staff members were gathered around with arms folded and brows furrowed. There were a lot of local cops on the screen, the SWAT team too. We recognized some of the officers from our precinct. Here was the story of an ex-Marine heavily armed. The reporter said who had threatened to kill himself. His girlfriend had called the police and he warned them to stay away from the house. A young blonde woman suddenly appeared next to the reporter. She was tear-stained and shaking. "He has a lot of guns," she said, "and he knows how to use them." It was hard to hear the rest, and we could see that she felt unsure about describing her loved one in this condition on television. Tough place to be. Would he remember her as a friend or a foe? Stories on the local news about troubled people are particularly relevant at the Recovery Response Center. It's like reading a preliminary medical record. More likely than not, the person would arrive at the center sometime this day. Sometimes they wound up in jail, but if the person did not shoot themselves or someone else, they would likely come through our back door with the very same police we saw in the TV interviews. And that would be a good thing. Many people, including myself, have spent a lot of time teaching police officers how to help people with mental illnesses, and it has really paid off. Our guests who arrive with the cops are usually already engaged in care thanks to good police work. The officers have given them positive and hopeful messages about what a good facility they are being taken to and that our staff will help them. The person is more likely to show up ready to engage in voluntary care, and that sure beats having to wrestle with people who have been intimidated, humiliated, and bullied right before coming to us. It was a busy morning, so I dove into my work, and the standoff on the morning news faded from my consciousness. It was a few hours later when the doorbell rang in the police entrance. I answered the door to find a few of my favorite local officers. But this drop-off was different. There were 4 more officers and 2 more police cars. As the officers provided their customary brief description of the person and their circumstances, I realized it was the man from the morning news. He was a pretty big guy and looked exceptionally fit. He was vigilant, his eyes darting around the room, surveying his surroundings. He exuded military. His reddened eyes and tear-stained cheeks betrayed him, though. He was in big pain. "This is the place I told you about," one officer said. "It's a good place. The people are nice. Here you can get help." "You need to be there for that little boy of yours," added another officer. "My name is Mark," I said. I held out my hand. His grasp was surprisingly weak. "I won't be any trouble to you," he said, and blinked away another tear that clearly embarrassed him. He shook hands with 2 of the officers and shared a hug with the lieutenant. As the officers left, I wondered if I had hugged someone who had a gun pointed at me a short time earlier. I wanted to thank them, but I know that they believe they are just doing their job. I waved them away out the back door and thought about how different my life might have been if I had been approached by officers like these when I could not tell the difference between good and evil. I turned to the military man and he whispered to me, "Good people." Thank you to our officers.
Sometimes in our lives we all have pain, we all have sorrow, though if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, if you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if you have things you need to go for. No one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. You just call on me, brother, if you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on.